right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Life Gone Real. I have Mike Beychok with me, and you might recognize him from the Quarantine Love Story episode that everybody just loved and raved about. But I wanted to have him on because he is a fantastic licensed therapist, and I wanted to have him on so we can discuss basically COVID anxiety, COVID depression, all the stuff that we're dealing with this virus that's really caused a lot of people really going through depression, anxiety, and just mental health through all of this, the virus and the pandemic. But definitely the best thing, if you want more information on Mike, he's got a great website. It's MikeBeychok.com, and I will have all of that, the link and all that whenever, it's already posted, so it's there for you guys. So, all right, Mike. So, how is it? One, everyone's needing therapists these days. So you're doing really well.
Well, I'm staying pretty busy, thankfully, and still just making sure everyone knows, for full transparency, I'm finishing up my PsyD, so not licensed yet, but I've been in mental health field and addiction field for almost 9+ years now, just with my master's and finishing up the PsyD, so almost there, but just can't say it. Don't want to get in trouble with anyone, but
so we'll backtrack that.
Yeah. But again, it's totally okay, because it's funny because the work they do is very similar to therapy. So because I have so many of those skills from all, the education, everything that I've gone through, so I'm able to do a lot of those things. I just can't say that yet, but I mean, it's more just semantics and making sure I don't get in trouble before I actually get licensed. But it's been a real tough for a lot of people. And actually, it was amazing. I just saw a really nice post a few days ago from another therapist that I work with that actually just listed off the crazy year that we've had. It's that we've been helping people through a pandemic, through racial inequality and uprisings, through riots, through all these marches, through political issues, through so much just isolation and uncertainty. And we're all doing it ourselves too, but we're doing everything we can without any extra preparation or guidance, whereas we're just literally jumping in the deep end. But it's something that's been amazing, and I've been really honored and happy to do it. But it's definitely been a very interesting time and process going through it all with people.
What do you think is probably, I don't know, like there's so many people that are so, really, really scared. A lot of people are still scared, even though it's been around for a while. Now we have the vaccines that have come out, which you can share a little bit of that because voila, he just got that. So share how all that process was for people not to be scared if they need to get a vaccine.
Yeah. So luckily, I actually wasn't even expecting it because, I definitely want the healthcare workers, the frontline doctors and nurses and people in hospitals and emergency rooms to be able to get the vaccine first. But luckily, because I also work in some inpatient addiction and mental health centers, they let us know that I qualify and all of their staff and employees qualify because we take in people off the streets sometimes, depending on what's going on. So that's how I qualified. And then actually, it was funny, a few days before I signed up, anyway, our center actually got notified too that as an outpatient center, because we're working with people face to face, we qualify as well. So basically, I just got the website, which is through Los Angeles County. You go in, you pick a time and a place that works for you. And I know after it's gotten much harder. So basically, I just got kind of lucky and signed up probably 2 or 3 days before everyone just went nuts and everything got very busy. Yeah. So I know now it's a little bit harder to get an appointment, but you can still just keep checking, and you might just have to drive a little further. But you basically just went on, it asked you, and especially because they're still at the tier where it was just healthcare workers, they ask you, do you work face to face with people? And you have to do the online kind of qualification, and then you have to bring in proof when you go in person to actually get the vaccination. I just had to bring my badge and then pay stubs, but they really just only looked at my badge that said, I work there and has my picture on it. So that's pretty much, it was easy, except for And again, I've heard different things for different locations. Where I went to Balboa Park, and I went there 15 minutes early. I figured, okay, just to be safe. I ended up waiting 2 hours, so they were just backed up.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I would just say anyone who's going, when you get the chance to, give yourself extra time. Don't try to squeeze it in on like a quick lunch break or something. Just make sure you give yourself at least, probably 2.5 hour buffer, just in case, because I'm assuming it's going to get even harder once more and
Right.
more people are able to go. But the shot was actually, and I hate shots. So just being honest, I avoid shots. I go through extreme lengths to avoid shots, basically. And this is the
I'm
first
sure.
one. Yeah. And this was one of the first ones that, I just was like, as soon as possible, I'll go get it. And, luckily enough, this is actually, and being honest, because again, I hate shots. I barely felt anything. It was actually one of the least painful shots that I've had. It was very quick. It was very professional. And,
Did you
the,
feel sick
so
afterwards?
so it's interesting because I don't know 100% because I didn't eat much that day, and that was just me not thinking probably through everything. So I got a little nauseous after, but that could have just been because I only had a small breakfast and I got the shot at like 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
But my biggest, the biggest effects that I had was my arm was sore for probably 3 or 4 days, which most people say it's only one day. For me, it was longer. I don't know why necessarily, but I could definitely say 3, 4 days, and then it kind of subsided. And besides that, maybe felt a slight bit of fatigue, but there was, I didn't get a fever, I didn't get coughs or, running nose, nothing like that, but definitely sore arm. And I
Okay.
100% felt a little just fatigued, but not bad.
Okay. And then you go, so you just did one vaccinate, like
Hmm.
you do it in two doses, right? Okay.
Yes. So now I wait because I got the Moderna vaccine. So now I wait 28 days. And again,
Okay.
there's some differences. I know some places while you're there will set you up for your second appointment. And
Okay.
unfortunately, where I was at Balboa Park, they just said you'll get an email with instructions when to sign up for the second one. So I'm kind of just waiting for that. So I'd say 50-50, you might get, depending on where you go, you might get an appointment set, when you're actually there, or you might just have to wait for an email with instructions on when to sign up again. But after 28 days, they also say there's about a 4 to 5 day window. So you don't have to get it on that 28th day. You can get it 2 or 3, 4 days after, but to definitely try to make sure you get it in that window.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, that's good for the listeners out there. I mean, honestly, I mean, everyone's talking about it, whether to get it, and people are nervous about it, and what are the side effects. So really, thank you for sharing that. And yes, we live in California, people. So California, I feel like, has definitely been, obviously at this moment, a lot of things are so locked down. Uh, I don't know when they're going to open back up, and it's been it's a constant roller coaster ride. Um, because I do know there's other states, schools are open. Yeah, they're a lot more open than we are. So I wanted to ask you, um, for all the parents out there, and I'll share with my kids, and I mentioned this. I have I have a teenager and I have a tween, and one of them really have a difficult. They seriously, a couple of days ago, really had just kind of like a breakdown, and they had a breakdown about a week and a half ago with this, of just they're missing their friends, struggling with school on Zoom. They're like, I would do so much better if I'm in a class. They're feeling like they're missed life. Obviously we all kind of have, but I think as adults, you're able to, I guess maybe not process. I think you're just able to take things a little different than the crucial age of them really being, they're high school and middle school kids, where middle school you're learning about your independency and growing, and high school you're just evolving more into that independency and your social life. And I just know one of my kids are really, really struggling. They're really having a hard time. They just miss their friends. I mean, lots of anxiety and just sad. So for the parents out there who have kids my age, I don't know. I mean, it's tough for us parents, because all we want to do is help. I mean, you see your kids in pain, like it broke my heart. And it's like there's nothing I can do. I feel absolutely hopeless and helpless. And I don't know, is there any advice for you to give parents that, I mean, that can really help our kids? I mean, what can we do to make it better? Just, even though I know there's not much we can do. Like, what can.
Exactly. It's just a really, just like a lot of other things right now, it's just a really hard situation. And I think the number one thing is just do your best to be able to be an ear for them to, you know, a ear for them, a shoulder for them to cry on, or someone for them
Right.
to listen to,
Listen.
and just let them know that there's nothing wrong with them, and it's okay if they're having feelings. It's okay if they're having a hard time, and
Okay.
you know, just try not to minimize it. I think that's what happens a lot of times. Parents saying, "Oh, but you're just one of millions of kids who are having just as hard of a time."
Right.
It's definitely true, but you just want to be able to acknowledge your kids' frustration, sadness, or struggle, and let them know it's okay that they're having a hard time. You're there to support them. You'll help them as much as you can. But every parent has different, abilities or restrictions and time, or what they can and can't do. But just doing your best.
Mm.
But I think the biggest thing is just trying to be as understanding as you can, and just letting them know it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to feel like you're cut off from your friends, or that things just aren't normal right now, because they really aren't. But just giving them that, and then trying your best to set up little fun things, even if it's a picnic, a hike. Obviously make sure you're being safe, make sure you're wearing masks, make sure you're trying to go to less crowded areas, but trying to at
Right.
least create some kind of fun for them in a reasonable way, even if it's doing a little random movie night with popcorn and random things, and making it feel like a movie theater, or whatever you can do just to bring some normalcy. But
Okay.
again, the big thing is just letting them know it's okay for them to have feelings.
I'm glad you said that because I really sat down with I just listened, and I was there for them, listened. We both like poured our heart. I mean, it was just a great communication. I cried, they cried, and it was just, and I even said it's okay. It's okay to feel this way because these are real feelings, and you have to kind of let that out. And that's with a lot of things. Obviously, I've even gone through some stuff, and I'm realizing I have to let all those feelings out, emotions, and that's okay, instead of pushing them down, because I think that makes it worse. So I'm glad I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so I did the right thing, because I really didn't know what to do. And the biggest thing I did was pause and stopped and just really listen to their heart, and just, yeah, I just listened and just was there for them. And I said that the only thing, and I even asked, I was like, what can mom do? What can I do to make it better? What can I do? And they were like, I don't know. And I was like, well, I think the biggest thing, and I'm an optimistic person. I'm always positive, and I try to be. Believe me, everyone, I have my days. Everyone's like, you're always so bubbly, and I'm like, no, I have my days, and we all have our moments.
We're all
But
human, and it's okay.
yes. So I just said, I just encouraged, and just was, just said it's going to be okay. Like, it really is. It's going to be okay. We're okay today. We're okay right now. And it's going to continue to be okay. And it will continue to get better, even though we're still in this kind of dark tunnel and you see a hint of light, but it's still very dim.
And I mean, and I'm very happy to hear that you're able to do that, and that's amazing for your kids. And also just letting them know they can ask for help, because I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that, just it's kind of part of society and whatnot, where it's not that we're trying to teach kids not to ask for help, but sometimes we say, like, you got to be able to do this on your own. You've got to be independent. But again,
Right.
it's also okay to ask for help. Sure, you don't want to rely on people constantly, but if you can't figure out something with your schoolwork, and you don't really have access to a tutor or teacher in person, ask for help, see what you can do, reach out to friends. You just don't want to rely on other people for everything, but it's more than okay to ask for help when you need it.
That's good. That's really good. What are, I mean, are there any tips that you can share for just, us adults that are just going through, yeah, lots of depression and anxiety about it?
I think a big one, to be honest, is routine. I know it
Okay.
sounds a little simple and, you know, obvious, but trying to keep a routine, it can be extremely helpful, just so that you have something to look forward to when you kind of break that routine. If it's, when you actually have the weekend, but trying to not let every day be exactly the same. Make sure you're getting exercise, again, being healthy, and making sure you're being safe. Don't, put yourself in risky situations, but try to find a way to exercise, whether that's doing online classes or, doing video workouts at home if you can in your garage,
Right.
finding a good open space where you can go do something. That's definitely a huge component. But the other one, again, is adults too. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to call a friend and say, I'm just having a really tough day. Do you have a couple minutes? Can we talk? Or a family member. Those are the biggest things, is keeping those connections alive. Because when people feel more and more isolated and don't have the ability to reach out, or they feel, wrong for reaching out, or they don't want to burden someone else, it's the other person's responsibility to say, I'm not in a great place either. I can't talk to you right now. It's just a little too much, even though that might be a little tough. One is, be honest, share your boundaries if you can't help, but also make sure that you're reaching out to people and seeing, because again, if you reach out to someone and they're able to be, someone who can assist you, you might be someone that they can count on later on, and it creates that
Right.
connection. And holding yourself back or saying, I don't want to burden somebody, you're also taking away from someone else who may actually be really looking forward to helping someone and waiting for that call, but then they don't get it because everyone thinking about, oh, I don't want to bother people, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with being that person.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. I know for me, and you've known me a little bit, but I feed off of I am a people person. So I feed off that energy of people, but I feed off the energy of actually when together. And that's hard. I know I really enjoyed uh, in Ventura County, if anybody knows. I mean, obviously, our restaurants were open for outside and for a very long time. And that was one thing that helped me immensely, was just to go out with my girlfriends and sit outside, because I fed off that. Yes, I fed off that energy, and that's how I am. So even with this second lockdown of nothing open over the holidays, that honestly has put me even in a funk. Like it really has. Like at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, everybody's like so excited. I'm like, oh, I am just like not mentally, even myself, like there, because I do feed off. Yeah, I thrive on other people. I guess being around other people, like I guess that's where that fuels me. So that's been tough. So anyone out there, I mean, that's a hard thing, and I don't even know what to do. I mean, even it's great, yeah, being here on Zoom, but when you and Naomi were in the studio, like it's just you vibe off your energy when you're actually with them. It's so crazy how that is.
We're actually wired biologically. Our brains are wired for connectivity, and it's a big
Exactly.
part of the human experience, is to connect and to have that in-person connection. We were not, meant to be completely online, to see each other from across the world on a screen. That's just not
No.
how, we were, that's not how we evolved. And it's really that, we're really reliant on having, that interaction and that pack kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have it, again, just like you said, a lot of times people lose energy, they don't have anything to feed off of. And so the best you can, doing it through Zoom, I mean, having little Zoom parties where you get multiple people, maybe everyone orders from the same restaurant, maybe everyone has the same thing, so it's kind of like you're doing the same thing. Again, I know it's
Yeah.
not perfect, I know it's not exactly the same as doing it in person, but
Right.
taking those little extra steps, try to do like a dinner party, even if it's on Zoom. And again, oddly enough, sorry for everyone in other parts of the country, it's been oddly hot over here in Los Angeles. Today was in
Yeah.
the 80s. So, taking advantage of these days where maybe you can have a socially distanced outside little thing in your backyard with a couple of close friends that feel are being extra safe and cautious too.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you want to limit your exposure as much as possible. So wearing the mask, taking them off while you eat, but again, trying to stay,
Right.
distanced. But and also really trying to, if you can, I know a lot of people have been successful with it, but again, you really have to make sure these people and everyone's on the same page. Little pods, if you have groups of 6 to 8 people where you're like, okay, we have a couple of couples or we have a couple of friends that I know we all are really doing everything we can to be safe, try to stick with that little group. But again, you just really have to be safe right now.
Wow. Well, that was some really good. Anything else that you think would be good just to share for people?
When it comes to the depression and anxiety, I mean, that's, a lot of people are having a lot of depression and anxiety right now. Again, reach out if you can. Try to find a therapist. There's so many therapists out there,
Yeah.
and there's so many different ones who do accept insurance, one who don't. There's coaches, there's people that you can really talk to and feel like you're able to be heard. Don't feel like you have
Yeah.
to suffer through it alone. I mean, again, I know it's really hard right now. People are realizing, oh, my marriage isn't what I thought it was now that I'm spending every single day with this person. Or, they're, luckily like our story where we found each other and it's been really amazing and it's brought us really close together. It just
Right.
depends, but make sure you have that ability to talk to someone and don't just hold it all in, because you're going to give yourself a really hard time. It's going to make your life worse. It's going to make you more depressed, more anxious, more stressed. And it's just stuff that you can avoid if you just take those steps. So again, just reaching out, seeing what you can do, what are going to feel better about, and
Yeah.
allow yourself to be okay with that. The biggest thing is try not to beat yourself up for it, because a lot of people have that negative self-talk instead of honoring their own process, saying, okay, I do feel bad today, or, I'm having a rough one, or, you know what, I slept in an extra 2-3 hours this morning because I just didn't feel like getting up. It's
Yeah.
okay. Don't get down on yourself. Sure, if you realize I've slept in the last 2 weeks and I am avoiding things, obviously there's something going on there and you probably want to make sure you're watching it, but don't beat yourself up over doing little things that make you feel good.
Yeah.
If it's, oh, you know what, I stopped work a little earlier than usual, no one's going to care, but then you're beating yourself up over it. It's not worth it. Let yourself have that process. I mean, it's the same thing as if we were all doing things like there wasn't a virus or a pandemic going around. There's
True.
people who leave work early for a concert, there's people who leave work early because they're going on a trip or whatnot, and it's not like they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen. It's just,
Right.
there's different anxieties now, again, because we're more on screens and this and that, and it's just, as long as it's healthy and safe, don't beat yourself up over it. If you're trying to work on your diet and you have pizza one night, don't just make
Don't
yourself
beat your,
feel
yeah.
miserable. Yeah, just let yourself go, okay, I needed that, it helped me feel better, that's okay. Again, all within reason.
Did you know I had pizza last night, Mike? Because that actually happened. I had a protein shake and then I went over to my friend's house and literally I get there and the pizza man comes and I'm like, what? And so she's like, well, you want some pizza? And I was like, oh, no, but I'll just have one.
I think it's because pizza's been on my mind. I had pizza a little bit ago, and it's always like that's always my go-to. Like, I don't really want to cook or anything. I could get pizza, but and again, it's just letting yourself do those things and not being mad at yourself. I'd much rather someone have pizza than sit in a dark room for 6 hours because they're like, I couldn't do anything. I
Yeah.
just felt stuck and miserable.
Right.
It's much
Mm-hmm.
better, and right now it's not the time to just beat yourself up over those little things. And that's
Yeah.
another huge component to this and getting through it. Do those little things. If, again, you got to make sure you're doing things in a way that makes sense for you. But if it's like, hey, I spent an extra $200 this month on some random garbage that I may never use except for the one time I did, go for it. Because if it's going to make you happy, make you smile, and who knows, maybe you can gift it to someone else.
Right.
But just indulge in some of those little things. And again, as long as it makes sense for you, just don't go crazy and put yourself in a bad position. But do those little things that you might have been like, oh, I was saving up for a trip, now I don't know when I can take that trip, so maybe you're going to buy a new computer, or maybe you buy a couple extra random tchotchkes that make you just feel good, some board games, but just allow yourself to do that and not feel like you're being irresponsible, because your mental health is the most important thing. And of course, you don't want to put yourself in debt, but if you can do little things that are
Right.
going to make you feel good, go for it. This is the time to do that. We don't know what's going to go on, when things are really going to change. So, who knows, saving up for that big trip, it might be 2-3 years away, and you could do that. You can save up for that later instead of, I'm not saying you need to spend 100 grand on something crazy right now, but little things that are going to make you happy, let yourself do it, let yourself have fun. And also, for people who have kids, let your inner child come out and play with your kids, have fun, let yourself be goofy. You don't have to be serious all the time either.
Yeah.
And
Love
just let
that.
yourself enjoy the little things. I know people say it all the time, but it does get lost in things. This is part of all of our journey, whether we want
Yeah.
it to be or not. And sure, it's definitely a rocky terrain right now. There's a lot of things that we weren't expecting, a lot of detours, but
Right.
as long as you're doing your best to move forward, just even acknowledging that sometimes that you're doing everything you can, and you're going to have off days, you might have off weeks, and that's okay.
Love that. That's great. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. But that is really good, everyone. I think the biggest thing, just like you said, is uh, just don't beat yourself up. And and we're going to get through this. It's all going to be good. Take it one day at a time. Enjoy life as much as you can. Just enjoy it. Breathe it all in, because, hey, if you're not sick, thank God that you're not sick. And just thank God for your health. If you're healthy, there's a lot of people out there that are, they're struggling. They're sick. They've got COVID. There's a lot of other things. So if everyone's well, that's a big blessing. And just moving forward in a healthy, healthy state is fantastic. So thank you so much, Mike, for coming back on. If you guys want any more information, he is at mikebeychok.com, and I will have that link and everything whenever I post it. And that's great. So happy Friday. Go enjoy your lovely evening. And to everybody out there, you guys have a great day. Whenever you listen to it, have a great day, have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye. That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on Life Gone Real. Don't forget to subscribe to my podcast and YouTube channel. Definitely rate it. Leave comments. I'd love to get into your lives a little. Send me some topics you'd like to talk about, or if there's anything you're possibly going through in your life. I'm so glad you're here with me on this journey. Cheers to you, and have a great day.